So be it, Jedi. That fool platform, he's no good to me dead.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
You know what's going on?
Welcome everybody to episode 2 of Star Wars After Hours. We have a very spooky episode for you today. But first, my name is Stefan Splino. Boys, state your name for the record.
I'm Josh Combs.
And I'm Joseph Dotson.
Now, Joseph Dotson, we are hoping, will be our third co-host, or at least frequent guest. Confirm or deny?
Affirmed.
Confirmed. Okay, so, on today's episode, we are talking about Star Wars and zombies. Now, the two are not mutually exclusive. No.
Not at all.
Not at all. We are not talking about Star Wars and then talking about zombies. We are talking about zombies in Star Wars, aka Star Wars zombies. But first, we're going to start with news, and for that we go to Josh.
Alright, well, actually, the news itself is zombie related, or at least cannibal related.
Which is why we're doing this episode.
Which is the point of this entire episode. So, just the other day, Rian Johnson put out a song on SoundCloud that was recorded by John Darnelli?
And for anybody who, for some reason, doesn't know, Rian Johnson is the director of Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah, you should know that.
Take that note.
If you're listening to a Star Wars podcast, you should know.
Hey, now you do know.
You should know that. But if you didn't, now you do.
If you don't know,
now you know.
Alright, so Rian Johnson posted a song on SoundCloud called "The Ultimate Jedi Who Wastes All Other Jedi and Eats Their Bones," recorded by John Darnielle.
Why do you think he only eats his bones?
Dude, we'll see from the band The Mountain Goats.
Well, I'm sure they consume the flesh, but for now,
Let's start with the bones.
I think he just wants the bones. Because I'll show you. Let's listen.
We're
to
gonna
this
play the
real quick.
recording.
This here's the ultimate Jedi who wastes all the other Jedi and eats their bones. Yes, by the Mountain Goats. It's from Star Wars. The new one. It's not in theaters yet. 2, 3, 4. Stay true to the path, young Jedi. Cleave to the precepts you've been given. Remember those who went before and cleared a way for you. Let your deeds give hope and comfort to the living. Let your deeds give hope and comfort to the living. Do your best in city or in swampland. Peace over anger, honor over hate. At the end of all your days, one Jedi waits for you. With the dust of Jedi bones piled high like parsnips on his plate. With the dust of Jedi bones piled up like parsnips on his plate. Specifically just their bones. All the soft parts you can keep. It's the bones that have the calcium, so he says. The long feast will be filmed for mass consumption. The cameras Ryan's got these days are unimaginably high res. Spare not for the end that waits for you. Fear not the fire in which your flesh must burn. All the Jedi from all the planets in this putrid universe get eaten by this last one, and now it's your turn. They get eaten by this last one, and now it's your turn. Bones, 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 bones. Bones, 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 bones. The ultimate Jedi who wastes all the other Jedi has eaten up all their bones. Bones, 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 bones.
was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, so the Sith are going to be the ones consuming these bones, correct?
No, it's the
No,
last Jedi.
this is the Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi's consuming the bones.
Yeah.
The very last Jedi, he says, is consuming the bones.
So shout out to Mountain Goats. That was actually a beautiful song.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that Ryan Johnson posted it on his SoundCloud account.
Yeah.
So it's on Ryan Johnson's SoundCloud.
I think he was joking around saying this is canon now.
But
But maybe he's not joking.
he said it.
So maybe we have Jedi zombies.
And then the sickest part is the picture that it has next to it. It's like just one samurai like standing in the middle, and then just like dead samurai on the side of it.
Luke.
Yeah, he posted this, and then underneath that he says, Jean Darnielle of the Mountain Goats recorded this, and I'm suddenly regretting that I didn't ask him for his story ideas earlier.
Oh my god. How cool would it be to see Jedi zombies?
Dude, or at least like a cannibal, like a Jedi cannibal.
That wouldn't
Jedi cannibal?
They
in person,
just
I'd be a little
bones.
terrified.
Oh, well, any Jedi in person, even if they're cool. Like, if I met Yoda in person, I'd be a little, like, intimidated.
You're like, dude, you're a freak. What are you doing? Flipping around? How do you do that? I don't know. Dude does like a 360 and then an undercut fucking Mortal Kombat moves to an uppercut.
Dude, I was watching him on Clone Wars. So sick.
So sick.
I said that last episode, but I'm gonna say it again, that, like, Yoda is, like, magnificent in Clone Wars.
The zombie Yoda.
Oh, but that's, like, we'll go
The
into that
entire
after.
point of our episode.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. So it's pretty awesome, and yeah, the ultimate Jedi who wastes all the other Jedi and eats their bones. You can find that on SoundCloud under RC John So without an N.
And this is part of Rogue One, or this is based about the same time period?
No,
This is based on episode 8, I would think, because
this is supposed to be. He said it's the this is about the next film that hasn't come out in theaters yet.
yeah, it's about Luke, I think. The Jedi the last standing Jedi that destroys all the other Jedi, eats their bones, and who knows what happens to their innards.
He's like, I don't need the soft parts.
Yeah, I don't need the soft parts.
It's just
I mean,
so weird.
We could break the
only
whole
wants
thing
its
down,
bones,
but
though.
yeah, we could.
No, it's just bones.
Just bones. That's all that's left, man. That's all that's left. Just Jedi bones.
Where do you get
Just
the...
piles of bones like parsnips on his
You
plate.
think the juicy fleshiness would be much more
Beautiful.
pleasant and
Well,
more
if
nutrient?
If you're Jeffrey Dahmer, then yes, you would eat the innards. That's
He
where
gets
the
all this.
cannibalism started.
It's
but
all the
boys.
soft parts.
but you can make some sweet amulets out of bones. You can make some Jedi
Pretty cool
saber
swag,
hilts.
necklaces.
Yeah, you can make some
you can
sweet Jedi swag out of some Jedi bones.
put some bones on your saber.
Force imbued, might I add.
Also, speaking of bones, I'm just gonna put this in here. We were on the Skin and Bones podcast. They just
That's
posted
true.
that, so I wanted to give them a little shout out to
Shout out
Ernie
to
and
Skin and
Jordan.
Bones.
Thanks, Skin and
Podcast.
Bones.
Yeah, so watch or listen to Skin and Bones podcast on iTunes, and I'm sure they're on Stitcher and maybe SoundCloud.
You can hear about my massive and hilarious drug addiction. You can hear about me saving Josh's life.
Yeah, that's why I owe him a Wookiee life debt.
Yeah, you can hear about our, I would say in the podcast it's fairly neutral politically views.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Don't do drugs,
Never.
but do them
But-
when you're young,
Maybe.
and don't do them later.
Let's get into our main subject for today,
Let's do it.
which, as I alluded to afterwards, is going to be zombies. Star Wars.
Star Wars zombies.
Star Wars
Star
zombies.
Wars - zombies.
So, Star Wars zombies.
Star Wars zombies. So, I mean, first, we got Star Wars cannibals, but let's take it a little bit further to undead, or the infected, or
How did they get infected?
Well-
What infected them?
It depends on what instance of Star Wars zombies we were talking about, and there are actually a lot.
And this is not just the EU or Legends. This is canon. Most of this is canon. We'll tell you which ones are not. We'll tell you which ones are. We're gonna start out with the canon stuff, and a lot of it takes place in the Clone Wars as well as some video games. And I'm not sure if you can call Star Wars Commander canon. I mean, I guess it would have to be. So, what do you want to start with?
The Old Republic. Start with the Rackles.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Go for it.
Okay, so the Rackles. Did any of you play Star Wars: The Old Republic?
Like 100 times.
I played it at least.
Wait, Knights of the Old Republic?
Knights of the Old
All of them.
No, Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights
the
of
first
the Old
one.
Republic. Okay,
1
yeah.
and 2.
Yeah.
Mainly 2 because that's when you saw the Rackles.
I played 1. I didn't finish 2.
Okay, so most of the people listening, they're gonna hear Rackle. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I've heard of that. I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it." So as you guys who have played Knights of the Old Republic 1 for Xbox, I believe, I think they came out with a mobile app. Did they?
Yeah. I was just playing it, but then I have a 16 gigabyte iPhone, so I had to delete it to make space for.
Roger that.
Some
So what do you guys remember about the Rackles?
The Rackle were super scary. You think about it at that time period and what was going on. You're in a very poor population and poor level of that planet. What was that planet called?
Terrace.
Planet Terrace. Couldn't really do much. I mean, as soon as you run through those gates, it's your fucking lightsaber, and that's it. But the Rackle, they creep up on you, they're very poisonous, they infect you, and you have to make that Jedi decision. And that's the same decision you'd make in a zombie situation. Innocent person's about to turn.
Yeah,
do you cut him down?
Do I
give him a cure?
Exactly. Do I save this person?
There was a cure.
There was a cure?
There was a cure at that
On
point.
Taurus?
So this
You
wasn't undead. This was like they took over your body.
To be fair,
Not very zombie. It was more of
I classify
similarity.
it as a mutation.
Mutation, exactly. It's a mutation. You get infected, you turn, and basically you eat flesh. You kill other people.
But the Rackle did. I mean, the host dies, and they transform into a kind of a mutant, horrible, disgusting looking, yes, flesh-eating creature. Which is why this is in the zombie episode. Disgusting animals. They are more mutations, but we can classify them as zombies for this
A lot of good
episode.
loot. A lot of good loot in
Lot of
that
good
area.
loot. The Rackles were started by Karmus Mur, who was a Sith Lord. And like all Sith, he tried to achieve immortality, albeit unsuccessfully. He tried to start an army to rule the galaxy, and he ended up forging a talisman that he put his spirit and power into, known as the Mur's Talisman, which could turn sentient beings into Rackle, which he could control. Now the exceptions were Force-sensitive and certain alien species, as well as droids. He could not transform droids into biological weapons.
Biological droids.
Exactly. That was not possible. Now the Rackle would spread the infection by bites or by their claws. Eventually, like all Sith do, he lost his power by other Sith growing jealous of his power and therein killing him violently and brutally with their lightsabers and force powers.
Nice.
Yes. But not before the infection of the Rackle spread to the lower levels of Terrace, which is the planet you start off as a confused Force user in the game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is probably my favorite game of all time.
It's pretty good.
It's one of the good ones.
It's one of the good ones.
I was a big fan of Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed was sick when you can get the black lightsaber.
Yeah, just go fucking saber berserk. Star Killer.
Now, what do you all remember of Terrace, of the Underworld?
I remember, first of all, that you can't get out. Basically, it's under occupation and flights, I guess, are landed indefinitely.
Yes.
It's poor. It's dark.
That's the underworld, but then they have like a higher class area. It's kind of like how Coruscant has like the lower end is like the shitty end.
Yeah.
A lot of like futuristic movies or whatever, or that type of thing.
It's old tech.
Level. Yeah.
It's old tech.
It's
old tech built up on new tech.
Yeah, so then up top, people are like, we don't want to go down there because that's where all of the
Disease.
gangs are. That's where the disease
Gangs.
is.
Yeah,
Swoop bite gangs.
Exactly, swoop by gangs. It's disease. So it's basically you descend into the lower levels of Taurus, this planet. The top looks a lot like Coruscant. It's heavily populated.
It's rich. It's urban.
Yeah, it's rich and urban. Everything's up to date. You descend into the lower levels of this world, and it is completely infested by these rat ghouls, these disgusting, infected people, and they look like ghouls. That's why they're called rat ghouls. They're disgusting. They look like animals. It's more of a mutation than a zombie type of thing. And as you play the game, you witness these people that have been infected by the disease, and they slowly transform into these disgusting creatures, and it's gnarly. At about 19 years before the Battle of Yavin, the days of the rat ghouls were believed to be extinct. Now, with the Mer Talisman, lay the ability to create new rat ghouls, and the galaxy would see the return of the rat ghoul when the obelette belonging to Sith Lord Romulus Draper was uncovered by Darth Vader, and the Jedi Knight Celeste Morn, who had entombed herself and the talisman for nearly 1,000 years prior, was revived. Morn battled Vader, but was no match for the skills of the Sith Lord and his stormtroopers, so she called upon the talisman's power to turn the stormtroopers into rat ghouls. Outnumbered, Darth Vader fled, stranding Morn on the desolate moon she had awakened on, with only rat ghouls and the spirit of Karis Morn for company.
Do you know what moon that was?
I do not.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't say here. Years later, Morn and the Talisman would escape the moon aboard a Rebel Alliance shuttle, turning the crew of an orbiting Imperial-class Star Destroyer into rat ghouls during her escape. Later, after her ship had been taken aboard a Paleon-class Star Destroyer, Morn turned the crew of the Iron Sun, which is the name of that Star Destroyer, into subservient rat ghouls with the power of the Mer Talisman. Morn and her rat ghoul crew later came into contact with former Jedi Cade Skywalker. Now,
Gotcha.
Cade Skywalker, we assume he has some similarities to.
Where does he stand with the family tree?
We assume that when Legends was turned into canon, some parts of him became Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Yes. Now, Cade Skywalker convinced Morn to join him in his campaign against the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Krayt. After curing the Rackle Plague, he had been infected with using his unique healing ability. During their attack on Krayt's forces, Krayt was killed, and Morn convinced Skywalker to end her life and her suffering under Cairns Murr's constant psychic presence.
Who's Karen Murr?
Karen Murr is the creator of the Rackle Plague.
Okay.
Yes. Skywalker then destroyed the Mer Talisman as it attempted to bind itself to a new host, effectively ending the curse of the rat ghouls.
So they can't come back.
As far as we know. Now, in some video games, I believe this was in Star Wars: The Old Republic, the online video game.
Mm-hmm.
There were rat ghouls that gained force ability, and and instead of behaving like animals They learned how to stand up straight and could use lightsabers, blasters, primitive force abilities.
What? Still under the control.
No longer
Under control.
No longer. They had adapted to. Originally, they were under the control of the talisman, and they adapted to be sentient beings.
That's crazy. So they were turned into infected zombie type things.
They were infected zombie type things, and evolved over time into sentient beings, sentient force sensitive beings.
So they got regular again.
Correct. So we can dive into more of this in the Star Wars: The Old Republic episode, but for now we're going to leave that at our synopsis of the Rakghoul Plague. And with that, Josh is going to take us into the Geonosian worm mind control section of the podcast.
Basically, this is another form of kind of like zombification, not like so much of an infection as it is a parasite. So there's a queen, and it's from Geonosis. It's when the clones go in and try to take it back. And this is on Clone Wars Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8, which is Legacy of Terror and Brain Invaders. So those are some great
Brain Invaders
1950s horror film names.
Yes.
Totally should make something like that into a live action film. Might be a little too scary.
That'd be pretty awesome, though.
It would be.
But so basically, those things, when Obi-Wan and Anakin come up on them, and they take over the Geonosians, and so basically they go into this layer, and they're all taken over by these worms, and they're under mind control by the Queen. And so they're not very powerful, though, so they're a little bit easier to defeat, but they just don't stop because
they're basically kind of like traditional zombies, they're slow.
Yeah, I haven't followed up too much of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And with Terror Legacy, do these people, when they come infected with the brain worm, take on any kind of a cosmetic evolution, or do they stay normal?
Well, they just kind of look like regular Geonosians, except they're gray.
Yeah, but when the
you can tell
there's
they're
a skin
dead.
tone.
Yeah, you can tell they're dead. They're reanimated corpses, basically.
Are they actually dead? Is there a cure? Can you remove the worm?
We don't think so.
Well, because what happens next is that the clones, it gets brought back, and then one of the clones is taken over by the worm, and then they end up taking over multiple clones with the worms, and they don't have any real cosmetic differences. So like their skin tone's the same, they look normal. So like Ahsoka, they come up on Ahsoka and start firing their blaster. So it's more of a mind control for the clones than it is a zombie type thing. Basically, the brain worms can take over anyone. They just go in through your nose.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole goal of the Geonosians and the people who are infected with that parasite is to pass on that parasite.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, in that whole episode, they're trying to fight off the clones that were taken over by that brain worm, and then they end up taking out that queen.
What do you think would happen if one of those brain worms entered in your ass? Do you think it would have the same effects?
Probably. I think it would just take
You'd probably
longer.
be controlled by the Geonosian, the Hive Queen.
Yes, of course.
I think that's only a logical, what's the word, summarization.
Yeah, I think that's
situation.
exactly what would happen. So it's not so much that they
You think
are.
one of those brainworms, like, that was put in their pocket, or
That's
it just got out and got in their butt, and they were just like, oh no.
So Obi-Wan tries to pick one
brainwashed.
up. He picks one up because he wants to study it, and then I think Anakin squishes it and kills it.
Thank God.
But
Thank God.
he ends up taking another one, and then that's kind of how that whole situation comes through. And if you guys want to watch these episodes, again, it's Clone Wars Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8. I have a little bit of news on Clone Wars. It's kind
They
of
are on
disappointing.
Netflix. Didn't you mention something about it's going to be canceled on Netflix pretty soon
Yeah,
now?
exactly. So it's on Netflix, so you can catch it now until March 7th.
March 2nd, people.
Seven.
Get it in, get it
Seven.
out.
7.
Get your
SEVEN.
Clone Wars marathon on.
Yeah, you gotta start from the top. Well, the problem is that I saw this list online that was like the top TV shows that are better if you don't start at the first episode. Clone Wars is kind of like that because it's a little bit cheesy when it first starts, but as it goes in, it like really goes in depth where you can put together all this stuff. You know, we pull out all the, you know, the zombies and the infections and stuff that is not talked about in any of the films and anything else. Then there's some things that, you know, go back and forth with Rebels and stuff, but the cool thing about Clone Wars is that it explains a lot that you didn't really think needed to be explained to start out with.
More
Yeah,
Star
those-
Wars lore.
Yeah, and so that's where
what it is.
it's crazy when it goes into the brain worms and parasites and stuff like that. But
Why wait a year for a film when you can watch Clone Wars and get more Star
Yeah,
Wars
so-
lore, background, story?
So if you guys wanted to learn about this, and there's going to be other stuff that we talk throughout the podcast that take place in the Clone Wars animated series, go to Netflix now. Watch Clone Wars. You only have until March 7th.
Definitely power watch Clone Wars.
Yeah.
March 7th.
Power watch.
March 7th. Get
And-
it in. After that, you won't be able to get it in.
Vamos.
Probably on a different like streaming service,
Yeah.
but like iTunes, Amazon, something like that.
Yeah. Share it with the family.
Anyways, so I think that I would say just go watch those episodes because they're a lot more informative, and you know, there's a few really interesting things.
If you're a Star Wars seeker seeking more Star Wars, watch Clone Wars. Correct.
Yeah, especially if you want to find.
That's probably
things
what
like
I'm going to do when I
brainworms.
get home tonight.
So those function like traditional zombies, but they're controlled by a hive mind.
Yeah, so
And
they're a
that's-
little bit different.
Yeah. So this we're starting to inch closer to more traditional zombie horror. The Rackles were more mutants,
Yeah.
and now we're starting to inch closer to
Parasitic.
now we're
they're more-
parasitic.
Yeah.
But now we behave more like traditional zombie horror film zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, controlled by hive mind.
Exactly, hive mind.
Controlled, not feral.
Exactly.
Like the Rackle.
But now
Oh yeah.
we move into the Imperial Biological Weapons Project,
Yes.
Blackwing.
The Blackwing.
Now, the Imperial Bioweapons Project 171A, alternatively known as the Sickness, was an infectious viral agent created through the powers of the Sith alchemy that created biological tissue and transformed its victims into undead monstrosities. The disease was originally created by Sith Lord Darth Dreer on Odar Foston sometime prior to 4,645 before the Battle of Yavin. So we're going way back.
Way back.
Yeah, that's so that's like straight like Sith alchemy, like
Yeah, this is
way
old
back.
tech.
This is before even probably the Rackles,
Yeah, of course.
before the Old Republic. So this is some ancient stuff.
Oh, no. Isn't the Old Republic older than the Empire?
No, this is the Sith.
The Old Republic takes place before...
Sith, the whole Sith,
Episode.
everything.
It says Imperial Bioweapons Project.
Right, no,
Imperial.
they're using. Hold on.
So it's not Old Republic.
They're using the alchemy from the Sith that Darth Vader becomes interested in it.
Yes.
Okay, so he brings back some information, some alchemy that the Sith figured out thousands of years before.
Okay, so this takes place in newer canon.
So yeah, this exact situation in the Imperial Advanced Weapon Research, all that, the Project Blackwing happens during the Galactic Civil War with the Empire.
Yeah.
Yes. So Darth Dreer, like all Sith before him, experimented in creating unending life. Immortality, that was the goal of all Sith, and all ultimately failed, mostly horribly, and in this case, extra horribly, by creating zombies. Star Wars zombies!
Yes. These are like actual zombies. Too.
This is the closest thing in Star Wars we have to actual zombies.
Okay, and then also, half of this is canon, so we can say this, is canon, but some of this is coming from before the Disney.
Exactly, it's a mix between canon and legends. It gets befuddled the whole. Again, we're gonna report most of this as if it's canon. We're gonna tell it in a storytelling format, and go from there. But keep in mind that as we reported, Disney's constantly befuddling with the timeline, and some of it might not be technically canon.
Yes. So, where we get in the legends is I believe it's the Death Troopers, a book actually called Death Troopers. It's by Joe Schreiber.
So, after Darth Dreer failed to create immortality, the project was picked up by Darth Scabrous, who failed again to create immortality, as we find out all Sith eventually do. After 1,000 years, and nearly a millennia later, the project, known as the Sickness, was picked up by Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Now, during this time, around 1 year before the Battle of Yavin, so this is right into New Hope, right into all the movies we've all seen.
This is during Rogue One.
This is during Rogue One. So Darth Vader finds out about this massive biological weapon. He commissioned a scientific team from the Imperial Biological Weapons Division aboard the Star Destroyer Imperial 1 class Vector to re-engineer the virus to further Imperial interests. Operating in secrecy, the scientists were able to recreate the disease under the code name Blackwing, and that's where we get Project Blackwing, of course, and prepare for deployment. However, in that year, an accident aboard the starship unleashed the sickness once more, turning all of the aforementioned Star Destroyer into flesh-eating zombies.
So these are zombies.
These are
real zombies.
This is as close to you can get as classic zombies, and another attempt of the Sith to recreate immortality,
create life basically out of nothing.
Create life.
Darth Plagueis, and that's why
all the Sith before him.
That's why Anakin's Darth Vader, basically.
Yes. So the infected. My girlfriend won't stop FaceTiming me. She knows I'm podcasting. I don't know why she keeps doing it. The infected took control of the ship and used it to cripple the Imperial prison barge, the Purge, thereby forcing the barge's occupants to enter the Star Destroyer and become prey for the sickness. The disease itself was created through the usage of Sith alchemy and activated by the Murakami orchid, a highly force-sensitive black flower. Victims of the plague suffered numerous, extremely painful side effects prior to death, and became mindless monstrosities post-mortem. The virus itself was fully self-aware, and utilized the undead to spread the pathogen, and either transform or eat any who were able to avoid the infection. Due to the extremely quick rate of transmission, and the difficulty of isolation, successful treatment of the disease was very rare, although one could be prevented from contracting the virus by injecting an antivirus intravenously. Those who were already infected had little chance of survival. the fluid that coagulated within the bodies of the infected and carried the virus throughout their anatomy, bore many similarities with the entity known as Mungo, leading some to believe that the two were in some way related.
Interesting.
And that is the summary of Project Blackwing.
Yeah, and the cool thing also is that it's in the Star Wars Commander. I remember they released it. I think it was on.
It was Star Wars Commander.
So it was on Halloween. I think they released them, and it gave you like 10 free, zombie troopers, and there's like a zombie like heavy machine gunner or whatever. They're pretty awesome, but they're super slow, and I just remember seeing the background image on the app when they first brought it up, showing the stormtrooper zombies with half their armor taken out, and their whole face masks. You can see their zombie faces through it. So, it's just kind of a cool thing. And then also, like, if we kind of weave in the current canon, is that Galen Erso, like, is he involved in that situation?
He very well could be.
And
yeah.
Also a thing that Darth Vader might, because Darth Vader is still obsessed with bringing back the dead, so that it makes sense that he would look into something like that, especially after Padme, because that's the reason he's Darth Vader.
Yes.
So I think that would be a very interesting place to go. Alright, so now that we've talked about all of that, we're going to go into the Nightsisters, which are pretty close to...
Canon. They're canon.
Oh, they're definitely canon, yeah. Let's see.
So canon.
Yeah, these appear in, is it Clone Wars?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, so they show up in multiple Clone Wars episodes. The names of the episodes are Nightsisters, of course, that's their first appearance. Monster, Witches of the Mist, Massacre, Bounty, Brothers, Revenge. They're mentioned in The Lawless, To Catch a Jedi, The Wrong Jedi, and The Disappeared Part 2. They're also part of some books and comics like The Dark Disciple and Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir, as well as one of the Star Wars Rebels episodes that that it gets to a point where it features Darth Maul in it, and it's called Visions and Voices, and I guess the Nightsisters appear kind of like as a spirit or like a Force ghost type thing like that, and then they're also in the Aftermath and Star Wars Uprising. And also the Star Wars Galaxies.
Love it.
There's so much with the Nightsisters that you can watch all those, but you can also listen to all of our information right now.
Yeah, if you ever played Galaxies, I think you'll get a really good sense from this podcast about how weird Dathomir was and all the weird stuff going on there.
But also how awesome it was.
Yeah, it was great.
Rancor.
You had people
everywhere.
You had Rancor mounts. You had wild Rancors. The whole planet is just basically a witchcraft planet.
Everybody in this room right now played Star Wars Galaxies. If you did too, high five.
Yes.
High five to that, because
verbal
Galaxies forever will be the best Star Wars game ever made.
Yeah,
I really think so.
Why is that, Josh?
Why is that? It's because you can be a person in the Star Wars universe. You can be, you don't have to start out. I know they changed it after that.
Besides from
You
the
can
changing,
start
but
out as
from
a
what
Jedi.
everybody got from it, it's the Star Wars Galaxies.
I like that you can. It's the first thing that really puts you into living as a person in the Star Wars universe, and you get these little side stories and these side plots, like the Nightsisters that comes out, and that's pretty. That's a pretty big deal about that.
That's
and,
far high level shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's kind of interesting. Like, it brings some things from the books, back from like the 80s and 90s that were written during the trilogy. They kind of brought over some of those things into Galaxies, but I think we'll do an entire
We could probably do an
episode on-
entire episode on Dathomir.
Or Galaxies.
and Galaxies
Yeah, and Galaxies.
and the Old Republic and all those, the MMOs, Star Wars MMOs. You know, because it's so expansive because they need a lot of things to do.
But just even spending 20 minutes in Galaxies on Dathomir, you get this sense of it's this wooded area and all these wild creatures, and there's Rancor mounts and witchcraft and
Yeah.
Really
crazy
dangerous
dark
stuff.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
this-
everything's high level. It's gonna hurt you and kill you very quickly. Like you're doing, like you said, Rancors and Force sensitive witches.
Yeah, it's this dark wooded area, this foreboding.
Like,
planet.
what's crazier than a Force sensitive witch bitch? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, these chicks have nothing to do but just praise crystals and feed off the planet's dark energy.
Exactly. Dathomir is definitely a dark energy planet.
Speaking of Dathomir and the Nightsisters, the Nightsisters are a clan developed on a mysterious planet on the planet of Dathomir. Since power was at its most potent on the planet of Dathomir, they rarely ventured off worlds during the height of the Galactic Republic, which is during the Empire.
Yes.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Not 1, 2, and 3, but
4,
5, and 6.
Well, the Galactic Republic would be 1, 2, and 3. It would be the Galactic Empire would be 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. So we're taking place during 4, 5, and 6. And however, this changed when a sister named Taliesin became the clan's mother, head mother, or she's the leader of these Sisters of Knights. During this time, Taliesin worked alongside the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, everybody's favorite.
He's not
at
my
least.
favorite.
He's not really my favorite
Who's
either.
your favorite?
My favorite is Darth Plagueis, which we will be doing an entire 2-part series on in the coming weeks.
Definitely.
Ooh, Josh, who's your favorite Darth?
My favorite Darth? Honestly, Vader. I love Darth Vader.
He is a savage
It's such a... It's
mofo.
just...
Lord Vader.
Yeah,
I would
he's such a
probably
complex character, you know.
I'd probably have to say my favorite dark side character would have to be Darth Maul, due to his dual wield lightsaber in the first appearance of
Darth
episode
Maul's
1.
gonna get his own episode at some point.
And episode 1, I mean, he was my favorite. He was just amazing.
And if you watch Clone Wars and Rebels, spoiler alert, Maul is in both of those and is a major plot point, and it's not just a cameo. So, I mean, of course, all this Night Sister stuff, a lot of it happens during the Clone Wars, and that's in the Clone Wars animated series.
Continuing off, Sith Lord Darth Sidious, who ultimately betrayed Taliesin and took her son, Darth Maul. Whoa! Taliesin's son is Darth Maul?
See, there
Yes,
you go.
Mother
That's
Taliesin.
Yep.
That's where you get Darth Maul and his sensitivity to the dark side.
Not
Dathomir.
only was he handy with a saber, but he was very
basically a witch boy.
a witch boy. Not witch boy enough for the Force, right?
Not witch boy enough for the
Because
Force.
Obi-Wan just fucking basically slaughtered him so
Chip chop.
easily.
Well,
I don't know about easily. That was
I don't
pretty...
know about easily.
And Obi-Wan's a badass. Like, you can't
Yeah.
just say, like, it's not like Rey's first thing. It's like Obi-Wan's been, you know, he went through the whole thing. Like, and Darth Maul's a badass. So, yeah, that was a difficult fight. And the sickest part about that part, just a little...
Darth Maul had Obi-Wan beat.
He did.
You had to have
Exactly.
not loved the scenes during the movie with Maul walking around with his grimy grin, just looking around so badass, knowing he just got this in the bag.
And then his look
I mean-
at Obi-Wan when the little shield door or whatever those
Wow.
shields close between them, and they're just like looking at each other, and then
Yeah.
it's pretty gnarly. But anyways, Night Sister zombies. Darth Maul.
So where I
God.
want to get at with is the reanimating the Nightsisters' powers, which they call Magica, which they conjured from the planet Dathomir. Dathomir was so powerful in this dark energy that they used that dark energy and did not move from this planet. They did not dormant from this planet. They stayed there due to its high intensity of dark energy, which they could conjure and gain more power and knowledge from within the dark forces. Now, in the Age of the Empire, 18 years later, two spirits of the Nightsisters were summoned by Maul and Azira Bridger to break their connection with each other. However, the spirits demanded their flesh and blood as payment.
Yep, that's where, that's Rebels.
The Nightsister spirits then attacked and possessed Kanan Jarrus and Sabrine Wren.
My God, you need to watch Rebels. Kanan Jarrus.
I haven't, and I'm going to do that tonight.
It's alright. I think more people need to watch Rebels. More people need to watch Clone Wars.
Joe's a classic Star Wars fan.
It's not just for kids.
Joe has fucking Pepsi cutouts of Chewbacca and Star Wars novels from freaking 1997.
I've got a little old Star Wars stuff. The only thing is, I am not up to date with the Clone Wars. I have not tapped into this Cartoon Network station of Star Wars at all.
Yeah.
And, I mean, from our podcast tonight and the things that I'm missing out on, I've learned a lot, and I'm going to do that tonight while I play ESO.
ESO? Elder Scrolls Online?
Yeah. I know. It's against my religion of Star Wars, but I am fascinated by it, and I'm going to play it. And, yes. So, the society and culture of the Nightsisters. I believe this is a quote from Count Dooku and Mother Taliesin. I'm going to share with everybody right now. I believe the old alliance can again be what it once was. You would only have to pledge your clan's allegiance to the Separatists, because we could certainly use the powers of the Nightsisters against the Jedi. Such a generous offer, Count, but our loyalty reserved for only each other. The Nightsisters of Dathomir lived in the seclusion of a stone fortress that bordered dense swamplands, and matriarchal society of the Covenant Sisters lived apart from even of Dathomir, the Night Brothers.
Yep.
So, whose only use was to serve the Nightsisters as servants and breeders. Who here would not want to be a Night Brother? In all honesty, come on. Your only purpose there is to breed and serve. Like, you just lay flat there and, like, sisters come upon you.
And breed you.
They're pretty creepy, though, and I don't really know what's down there, so it's like, I wonder if that's actually a pleasurable situation.
Well...
Or if it's like...
it's breeding, it's greeting.
It's like how, like bees... Like how bees, all the bees that you see are female, the only males are kept inside
I hope
the
it's
hive.
not violent. Yet again, being a Night Brother, sign me up. Young women aspiring to join the ranks of the Nightsisters first had to use their dark side to subdue a powerful, strong-willed creature living in the depths of the pools of the village known as the Sleeper. I bring back a part of its body. The harvested remains would be then converted into water of life, a major component of Nightsister Magica. In any initiate who gave into their fear, such as Talil's twin sister, would be dragged down into the depths and killed. The Nightsisters mummified their dead before placing them into pods of animal skin decorated with tassels, which were hung from structures made of branches, bones, animal skins, and shells. Their graveyard mimicked a configuration of planet life seen on Dathomir, with its cooked trees burned by large cocoon-like fruits. So basically, the Nightsisters lived on a planet strong in the Force, the Dark Force, conjured it, had sex with the Night Brothers, these unwilling men. Ew, oh no.
Don't screw me, Nightsisters.
Poor guys, poor them. and then breeded more Nightsisters. But at the same time, if you ever played the game Star Wars Galaxies, you know there was an abundance of Rancors, and these Nightsisters use them as pets.
Mounts.
Mounts, pets, whatever.
They ride
Bartenders.
So far, we have Rakghouls, which are essentially mutants. We have Project Blackwing, classic zombies, and we have the Nightsister zombie flesh people.
One more thing I wanted to tap
Voodoo.
into with the
That's
Nightsisters.
voodoo.
By tapping with the magical ichor, they follow the Dathomir depths, which could harness power. They refer to the magic, and the most powerful Nightsisters can use their ichor to create objects out of thin air, transform people into ghostly visions and their true forms, or even reanimate the dead.
At that point, it's like cheating. It's like, oh, hey, the Nightsisters can just do anything with magic.
So why...
Like, they can just create
Let me ask
something
you
out of
this.
thin
Was
air.
the Rakghoul before or after the Empire? I would say it's before.
Yeah, it's
correct?
way before.
Yeah,
it
it's
was
way
in
before.
it was in the Old Republic. The Rakghouls were part of the Old Republic.
So
On
Rakghouls,
Terrace.
not the...
These
This
have
was,
been extinct for millennia by
the
the time we
Rakghouls
go
was a
to
complete failed project, but the Nightsisters...
It was a hugely destructive project.
Yeah.
It destroyed entire planets. It interrupted the Mandalorian Wars. It was an
just
insanely
love Mandalore.
destructive project.
Everyone here, I just want to let you know, me, Joseph C. Dotson, hail Mandalore.
Hail
For life.
Mandalore.
Mandalore forever and everything and ever. Mandalore.
So
I'm
far,
a Mandalorian.
So far, of the three we've covered, the Rakghoul project was inarguably the most destructive. It destroyed an entire underworld of a planet. It interrupted the Mandalorian Wars. The Blackwing project was mostly confined to a Star Destroyer and a
Like the research facility.
yeah, a Star Destroyer and a research facility, and some type of was it a barge, a prison barge?
Yeah.
A prison barge got infected, and then we have the Nightsisters, which were confined to Dathomir. But now the final piece of the puzzle here that we're going to get into is the Korban zombies, and this is completely legend, and we will start now. The Korban zombies, also known as the Sith zombies, were semi-sentient, undead, humanoid predators native to the Sith tomb world of Korban. And again, if you guys played Star Wars Knights of the Republic, Korban was a playable planet in which you get to go into all these old tombs. You get to see some spirits, get to loot some old stuff.
That was honestly my most fun planet to play during that game was Korban.
Korban.
Yeah, honestly, that's where you got the best shit. I mean, crystals, sabers, armor.
It's
You
cool.
had the best dialogue for the dark
Yeah.
side dialogue there.
And that's if you complete the game on dark side. That's actually where the game ends.
I
You're
usually play
commanding
every game dark side.
Yeah, you're commanding the whole ancient
Jedi is just
Sith
so
army
lame.
on Korban.
So lame.
But also,
So
I'll
soft.
note that it's not completely Legends, because also, just real quick, I don't have all the information on this. Basically, the last episode of the Clone Wars, they cut the series short. So it's only 13 episodes in that last season, rather than 20 or 23 or whatever they usually did. So they kind of left it off in a weird spot. But Yoda has to go to Korban, and he comes upon an undead Darth Bane, the Sith Lord who created the Rule of Two. So he had to discover the secrets of eternal consciousness. But so he had to force an undead Sith Lord, which is not a zombie, but it's more of like a spirit, a reanimated
Yeah,
spirit.
a spirit. Yeah.
It's more of a spirit type thing. But it's that planet, you know, in specific does hold a lot of stuff like that.
Right, yeah, Corbin's just it's chock full like the planet in Star Wars: The Old Republic is literally just a valley full of Sith tombs. The Sith zombie horde was originally created and now we're going way back to 7,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Sith King Dothka Garush's experiments using Sith alchemy and magic to reanimate corpses created the Sith army, and they could spread the infection by biting again or scratching living sentient beings. After a tumultuous 50-year reign, Garish was assassinated, and the spirits animating the zombies were collected in a crystal that was buried with him in his tomb located in Corbin's Valley of Golg. For the next 7 millennia, the zombies served as guardians of the tombs of the Sith Lords in both the Valley of Golg and the Valley of the Dark Lords, which is the place we visit in Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. The creatures lay dormant for extended periods of time and were only awakened by the commands of the deceased Sith Lord spirits or the disturbance of Garush's crystal in order to eliminate any intruders or would-be tomb robbers. The zombies' limited intelligence allowed them to wield weapons, and this attribute, coupled with their intimidating presence, ensured that few sentience prevailed during an encounter with the creatures.
The creatures!
In 3,997, before the Battle of Yavin, self-declared Jedi Knight Exar Kun, excellent novels, by the way.
Exar Kun.
Yes. Survived an encounter with the Guardian zombies while exploring the Valley of the Dark Lords. As did a group of Jedi Knights and their respective Padawans nearly 4 millennia after Kun, during their pursuit of a galactic criminal. A subsequent encounter with the creatures occurred 6 months before the Battle of Yavin, when a pirate vessel crash-landed near the Valley of Golg.
So these are kind of a mixture between the...
These are semi-sentient Sith alchemy zombies.
So they are undead.
They are undead.
But they can use weapons.
Yes.
So they're not traditionally...
they're not mindless zombies like Project Blackwing.
Right.
They're Sith alchemy zombies, almost like voodoo, probably closer to voodoo, which ties into the Mother Talzin thing on Dathomir. So the closest thing out of these 4 that we have to traditional zombies would be Project Blackwing, which are essentially mindless, flesh-eating zombies.
And I would really love to see those on film. And I think that should segue us into talking about, with Rogue One, we visited a different genre than we regularly do in Star Wars, where, it was a little bit darker. And then we have the Han Solo solo film.
Han Solo solo film.
We have that coming out, and it's supposed to be, it's like a comedy / Western type thing. So that's, they're pushing another genre in there. So with this whole talk of zombies and cannibals and all that fun stuff, how would they make a Star Wars horror film?
Can I touch on that?
We can
Of course.
all touch on that.
We're all going to.
I will give you my opinion on a great Star Wars horror genre, and I think most of you viewers would agree upon this. Aliens, say xenomorphs, versus the Imperial Empire.
So you do a kind of mashup, a kind of.
Let's set it like this. Let's set the plot like this. Say we got a Star Destroyer, right?
Yes.
Comes upon a planet by rebels. They're there on a rendezvous, checking out a frequency that they had picked up, and they get on this planet. It's completely deserted. There's rebel base. Everything's fucked up. You've got eggs everywhere, xenomorph eggs, and they get infected, and you've then at that point got an entire Star Destroyer fleet up against a xenomorph fleet. How exciting
Wait,
is
is
that?
Xenomorph fleet exact or
Like-
just one like
Like
alien, or,
xenomorphs.
like-
I mean, they have come upon a planet, a colonized planet by the Imperial, and
Right.
knowing, so however many bodies you have on this planet, that's your ratio of how many xenomorph there are going to be, because they can infect those people, correct? And at that point, you only need one xenomorph to take out, what, like, fucking 50, 20 guys. I mean, a
'Cause
xenomorph.
They kind of went a little crazy with it when they went to like Alien versus Predator. I mean, I understand
They
it's
did,
their
yeah.
homeworld or whatever, but it's like
I think that would be exciting, though, even as a comic or even as a cartoon or
I feel like
a
I've
short
heard
film.
of someone talking about that mixing Alien with Star Wars, having some theory of it, which is ridiculous, but it's the same thing.
It is
how,
ridiculous,
the
but that's what
E.T.
makes
is
it
in,
awesome. It's ridiculous. You can make it ridiculous.
But you know what crossover is
Hmm.
canon? E.T.
What?
Oh,
Yep.
you're going to do a friendly alien.
No, because he really is canon in the Star Wars
Is it a
universe.
versus or is it...
No, but I'm just saying that E.T., like his type of people, they are in I think it's Attack of the Clones when they're all at the Senate thing. They're in one of those.
Oh, the
floating-
council.
They're at the council.
They're
Yeah,
at the
they're in one of the
council.
floating things. So it's like really hard to see. It's like an Easter egg. I think it's kind of just like, it was just thrown in there. It's an Easter egg, whatever. But if it's in the movie, it's canon. So if they're in the same universe as that means they're in the same universe as Earth, and which is in the same universe as the planet from Alien.
Star Wars horror genre. Check this out. The Hunt. Take a minute. All you guys, where do you think we could go with that?
The Hunt.
Boba Fett and Predator go on the ultimate hunt
What's
against each other. Not hunting each other though, but they're hunting certain targets.
I'd say if we're gonna go there, then yes, hunting against each other.
So you got
What else
Boba
would we
Fett.
rather see?
You have Predator, ultimate hunters, correct?
Let's
Both
hunt each other.
adequate and equipped with their own essential tools, their own hunting skills. I mean, we can make them hunt each other.
Yes.
We could make. I'm pretty sure they could find it quickly. They could, within 5 minutes, they could probably find each other very quickly.
Yeah.
But let's just say they're not hunting each other, they're hunting against each other for a certain target. What do you think would be that target? What's something that's so quick, fast, easily, we could put them in a populated area, we could put them on a desolate area.
Well, the obvious answer is they're hunting a Jedi.
Yeah. And so that actually goes into something I wrote down, which I'll bring up after your thing, but it kind of plays into the same type of thing that you're gonna.
That would be
you're
very
gonna be
exciting.
You're gonna be stoked on my idea. Then just keep going though. I like your.
This is just who would you put your money on?
Who would I put my money on between Predator and Boba Fett?
Boba Fett.
I mean, this is a Star Wars
We all love them
podcast,
so
but
much.
I'm gonna have to go Boba Fett. Yeah.
He can fly away.
As much as I am a Star Wars fan, I'd probably put my money on Predator.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Predator, he can go invisible, but.
Invisible, he's got a mad targeting
But I'm
system.
wondering if Boba Fett's
I mean-
he has a heat seeking
Boba Fett could probably
heat
mess
vision
that
and all
up
that
bad
stuff.
with his flamethrower.
Oh,
man.
that's true. Flamethrower. I mean, if it wasn't
I think
for his
Boba Fett's
gadgets,
way
though,
more equipped than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
If-
Let's just put it that
If
way.
you took off all of their
How
armor
about
and
that?
clothing,
We'll go with Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Predator. He obviously dominated the Predator.
you mean
Arnold
the
Schwarzenegger
movie that
The
is already
Amazonian
a
jungle.
movie?
versus Predator. Let's just take the movie Predator, take
put-
him out of there, and we'll put Django.
yeah,
Put Boba or we'll put Boba versus Arnold.
I'd have. Oh wow, yeah, I'd have to say Boba Fett would win quickly.
Of course.
Why?
Because man, all Arnold does is get lucky, roll in some mud, and
Unless he's like Terminator Arnold, he might be able to take on Boba Fett. But then again, it wouldn't matter because he's a droid, basically. But I don't know.
I think somebody listening on this, such as an editor or producer, should definitely make a film. Or
Yeah, let's do
a
a
reader or a writer, please put out a comic. Predator versus Arnold.
Let's go ahead and do a Disney Universal crossover.
Yeah.
Let's do a Star Wars Alien versus Predator crossover.
So Joe's interested in crossovers. Josh, what do you got for this subject?
Okay, I wrote this thing down because I had this really cool idea and I just need to write it down before I
It's
forgot
not that
it.
cool, but get into it.
It's way cooler than you would think it is. So, basically there's, I'll go back to Clone Wars again. There's like 3 episodes where they're teaching these younglings. They take them to Ilum, to where they get their kyber crystals and they build their lightsabers and all that stuff. So they're all around like, 10 to like 13 years old, something like that. So my idea kind of mixes some of the things that we talked about and some of the things that I've watched before. But so my idea is 4 younglings survive Order 66 and lay low in the underworld of Coruscant. And so there's 4 of them. 2 of them are old enough to have gone through the trials and built their lightsabers. The other 2 are kind of younger, like 8 years old, 9 years old, something like that. So, but they're out on their own to watch over themselves. So they get in a street fight with some like angry shop owner or something, and one of them has to cut off his arm with a lightsaber. So someone sees the lightsaber, and then a bounty hunter is tipped off to that there's some young Jedi left, and then at that point they have the Inquisitors out, and Darth Vader wants all of the younglings, and having a lightsaber at all, you can get death for it.
So they can get death for it.
So yeah, so if they have a lightsaber, you can basically get put to death. So bounty hunters are looking for anyone with a lightsaber, any like young Force user, anything like that. So say that they're followed by bounty hunters, and they're hunted by 2 rival bounty hunters at the time, who are IG-88 and Boba Fett.
Ooh.
Oh,
So
Hell yeah.
the
Those
4
heavy
younglings,
hitters.
yeah, those are definitely heavy hitters.
IG-88. Can we touch bases for viewers who don't know who that is?
IG-88 is an assassin droid who was, I guess, reprogrammed and became a bounty hunter, and he doesn't just work for the Empire.
we're gonna do an
but-
entire episode on IG-88.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole thing, so Joe, he'll be there. Don't worry.
I got
Well-
much knowledge.
We'll talk about all of that, and then if you're listening to this episode later when we already have that, I'll just link it in the description.
Let's be honest with you, he's a bad mofo. And probably one of the baddest 8 droids out there.
And also, if you watch, again, Clone Wars, you'll see how those assassin droids fight and like how they actually work, and they're pretty gnarly.
There's
He went
multiple
rogue.
IG-88s.
Yeah.
IG-88 went rogue.
Yeah, so there's different Imperial assassin droids and stuff, but IG-88 kind of, I guess, developed his own,
IA.
yeah, AI, his own intelligence, kind of. He's not been wiped, I guess, kind of like
He woke up
R2-D2
and said, hey, I'm in an Imperial base. Fuck you guys. And, like I said, we'll touch bases with that later.
Anyways, so the 4 younglings are followed and hunted down by 2 rival bounty hunters, which are IG-88 and Boba Fett. They hide in a smuggler's ship to get away from the bounty hunters, but the ship takes off and then they go into hyperspace. They don't know where they're going. They land at the Imperial Advanced Weapons Research Facility on Dandaran. The crew of the smuggler ship is killed by stormtroopers, the regular living stormtroopers. This is still a research facility. It's being watched. So the younglings are still hiding out and they're alone. And But with the fight between the smugglers and the stormtroopers, most of them got killed. So the younglings, they sneak out, and it, starts to get to nightfall. So they have to go inside of the Imperial weapons research facility and hide in there until daylight. But Imperial droids take apart the ship. The only way that they can get away. So, hiding in a ventilation, in the ventilation duct, they look down and they see dead troopers, officers, and researchers on the floor, and see zombie troopers break out of their containment areas. So they have to find prototype weapons and use the Force to fix and assemble weapons to fight off the stormtrooper zombies. And then IG-88 tracks them to the Imperial Advanced Weapons Facility, and he has to fight off zombies while scanning and searching everywhere for the younglings. So the Wookiee goes in there and he sets the facility to destruct, and they steal IG-88's ship, and Boba Fett shows up, and then they fight, whatever. I don't know. I don't have it exactly completely written out yet. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just a kind of a cool idea to kind of mix up, younglings. Like, think of like Jedi younglings having to fight off stormtrooper zombies at the same time evading a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And just see IG-88 taking on zombie stormtroopers, and yeah.
That would be really awesome to see.
And then say they only
IG-88
had
was
one
equipped with a pulse
lightsaber.
cannon and a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And I remember, if anyone's ever played N64,
Which one?
what was it, Dark Empire?
Yeah, Dark Empire, where you're
Is that really what it's called though? I'm not 100% sure.
oh man, what's it called?
It was an N64 game.
Dash Rendar.
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
There
In my
is
room
an
right
actual
now.
level you play as a person similar to Han Solo, and you're on a junk planet and you fight AG-88, and he hits you with pulse cannons, a flamethrower. At the time when I played it, I was a little boy and it was very difficult, but I did beat it. So yes. But it was an awesome fight. IG-88, he is no joke.
It's not a joke.
He's ain't nothing to fuck with.
I love that game, especially the noises in there, the I seriously have that cartridge, that N64 cartridge. In
I
my
still
room.
have my N64
It's in my room right
and
now.
my Shadows of the Empire game.
Yeah. Yeah, what's going on there?
But yes, IG-88, he was developed by the Empire. When awoken, went rogue, and during his awakening, he literally slaughtered an entire underground base of Imperials and fled from there and became his own independent droid artificial intelligence.
Now, imagine that, but zombies.
I got IG-88.
Versus...
All my money is on him.
But all versus 4 younglings with, 2 lightsabers in between them.
Yeah.
Whatever. What do you think, Stefan? Give me
That'd
an
be
idea.
spooky. Okay, so
Tell me your horror film.
I got a couple. So I have a classic horror film, almost like a creature horror film, kind of like Alien, like Joe alluded to. But we have these creatures, and these are, I don't know if they're canon. I haven't seen them mentioned anywhere in recent canon. They're called Veermoks, and they are, Josh will overlay an image in the YouTube video, but they're almost like gorilla-like creatures, but they're alien gorilla creatures, super predators, basically. So my idea is that you have a group that is transporting these Veermoks on some type of barge, almost like when Han Solo was transporting the Rathtars. And somehow, as it always does in sci-fi horror, the creatures being transported get loose and they terrorize the crew. And you can have this whole Star Wars horror film with a Star Wars creature, and these horrifying sci-fi creatures are just picking off the crew one by one. So you could do it super creepy, do it like the original Alien.
Yeah, so it's like a mixture, like Alien, or even like kind of like a
ship,
like
floating
Friday the 13th a little bit. Where
Yeah.
it's like you
Ship.
can even have it from their point of view, or it's like really creepy and
ship floating in dark space, flickering lights.
Yeah, exactly, dude. The classic,
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
you've
like
got
it.
this
classic
alien,
Alien horror film.
like you said,
yeah.
aliens. We all know how that goes. Completely dark, radar system, vents. I mean, it's dark. You can't see anything.
And you have these horrifying creatures, and Veermooks they're scary looking, man. If you again, Joshua put a overlaying image, but they're creepy looking. They're these super predator gorilla type creatures. They're in galaxies. I don't know if you guys remember them from there, but
So, would you be more scared of one of those or a horde of stormtrooper zombies?
I'd be more scared of one of those.
Yeah.
Stormtrooper zombies you can pick off. Veermoks, they're these.
If they can't shoot well, I'm pretty sure they can't bite well. I mean, they're probably still gonna have their helmets on. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if they can't even shoot you, who's gonna say they're gonna be able to grab you? I mean, they're probably slow as fuck, and they have their helmets still on, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, come and bite me. You have your helmet on.
No, but you know that the reason that the main cast doesn't get shot is the Force, right?
Right?
Yeah, that explains it all.
I mean,
Yeah, so I have an idea for a classic
thank you.
a classic creature horror film.
Stormtroopers.
And then I have an idea for so right after Order 66, not all of the Jedi are immediately eliminated, and Darth Vader has to go out and hunt the remaining Jedi. So my other idea for a horror film, and we got a glimpse of this in Rogue One at the ending sequence, classic horror. Darth Vader ignites his lightsaber in the dark hallway, perceives a slave.
I had a
rebels.
huge boner
Yeah, I had
during that
Ew.
entire scene.
massive nerd boner.
Saber lights up. The whole rebel fleet is screaming for their lives, and you just see Darth Vader going down a hallway in his badass slow walk, just slaughtering everybody. I mean,
So imagine
it's
that.
bread and butter.
Imagine that extrapolated in across an entire movie where Darth Vader goes out and hunts the remaining Jedi. And this, you talked about Predator earlier,
I did.
where he stalks them throughout the jungle.
Mhm.
Imagine Vader stalking the remaining Jedi throughout the galaxy.
I think Vader would get a giant hole punched through him in his chest with the plasma cannon or whatever the fuck is on Predator's shoulder.
Oh, but no.
I honestly
Sounds
have,
like you went back to
as a
Predator.
Star Wars fan, have my money on Predator. I'm not gonna lie. He
This
is
isn't
so
Darth Vader versus
badass.
Predator.
We went off the rails a little bit there. I was saying, imagine you talked about Predator in the way that he hunts the people on the jungle planet. Now imagine Vader hunting out the remaining Jedi after Order 66. So the first one is the classic creature horror film. The second one I'm imagining is a thriller hunter killer movie of Darth Vader hunting people, basically. You know what I'm saying?
That would
Yeah.
be very awesome. I
Yeah,
would
he
love
goes
to
to
see
different
Vader slow
cities.
walk, like in a disco form. Disco music, real slow walk,
Disco
Just-
music.
killing everybody, just so...
Dun, dun,
Yeah, can we...
I
I mean...
yeah.
I mean, just so smooth. Like, he doesn't really have to do much of anything. He's made a robot.
He's made of robot.
He's made of robot. I mean, his legs, one of his arms. He's
Both
doesn't
of
really
his
have to
arms.
move
Yeah.
very fast. I mean, he's very like fluid.
Yeah, that's where it's more like Jason, like Friday the 13th, like how Jason, like, he moves slow, but it's so menacing.
And
It's
you
just
know
like-
he's coming.
He is our
You know
Star
there's-
Wars Jason.
You know there's no
Yeah.
way you can get away
Jason
from
Voorhees
it. Yeah.
is Darth Vader in a Star Wars Galaxy horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Move
it's-
slow.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's exactly what he's
You
talking
hide, and then you turn, and boom, there he is.
Yeah. There is no escape.
There is no
There
fucking
is only
escape. No
Vader.
matter how fast or slow he moves, he is there.
Say he boards your ship alone. Just
How
like
about
on
this?
his-
Just
Jason
hunts you.
Voorhees versus
Stop with your
Darth
verses.
Vader.
You're the worst with your verses.
How slow
What
would that
year is
movie be?
this?
It would be so slow.
all of Joe's ideas are crossovers.
Yeah, they're all crossovers.
It's fun though. I mean, if you think
No,
about
it
it,
is
I
fun,
mean, you
yeah.
have all these crossovers nobody's ever thought about or done about. Maybe people have thought about it,
Yeah,
but at the end, I'm
it's
here
fun to think about.
enunciate it. And you have, I mean, there's so many ideas. There's so many ways of doing this. I mean, you could put this into a comic world, an animated world. I mean, you have Jason versus aliens, Jason versus Freddy. Why not throw a lot of these versatile situations into a Star Wars universe? I mean, you have so many competitors. You have Boba, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Darth Sidious.
Well, I think it's more
I
interesting
mean, you
to take
have
those
Freddy
character
Krueger
types.
versus the Nightsisters. I mean, how far could you go with that? The Nightsisters are, like we said prior, a magical wielding force. They dwell on the undead. Yes, Freddy does go into our nightmares. Do the Nightsisters sleep? We don't know.
To infinity and beyond.
Dude,
Do we have anything else to cover in this episode?
I think we also have to cover what you just said, the Buzz Lightyear versus Darth Vader video. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll show you after this episode, and I'll link it to the description on this episode. But
Okay.
so basically, it's a fan-made video.
Oh yeah, I did see the beginning of it.
Vader versus Buzz Lightyear. It's pretty ridiculous. The
Whoa,
effects are kind of well
really?
done, but yeah, we'll have to watch it after this whole show, and maybe we'll go through an episode of maybe like fan YouTube things or whatever or something. But I think that with Vader and then also the Inquisitors that he sent out,
Yeah.
between like with the Inquisitors in Rebels and stuff, it's kind of like that's possible. That's a possible storyline
Yeah.
where Vader or an Inquisitor goes in alone after one Jedi or a group of Jedi. We can go so far with that. We can go into further than zombies and stuff like that. I think just Darth Vader, he's just like a monster in himself. Just that end of Rogue One is just such a horror film. But we will be back next Wednesday.
Josh, what is episode 3 about?
Oh, episode 3. Episode 3,
Give it to me.
we have a special guest named Dale Wentland from Network 1901 Podcast Network, from the DCast and Discovering Star Wars. He has a friend who's never seen any of the Star Wars movies, and every week he watches one and gives his review with Dale, and that's on iTunes under Network 1901.
I'm so happy for Dale that he's like watching Star Wars. I don't know him.
It's
but-
Dale's friend. Dale's like huge into Star Wars,
Oh.
so he's gonna.
What's
be,
Dale's friend?
I don't know
name?
Dale's friend's name.
Well,
figure it out.
Dale's friend's name. I'm happy you're watching Star Wars. I hope it's changing your life and your moralities. And
It's just funny because he's starting out with the prequels.
at
so
least
he's like,
now you can die comfortably.
He's got a few more episodes left, so we definitely want to get that out before so you guys can listen to all of that.
If you
But-
haven't watched Star Wars and you die, you died empty. So fill your life and your love with Star Wars. If you haven't,
bro.
you're dying a shell.
All right, Dasha, take us
Deprived!
out, man.
I'll take us out. This kind of went off the rails
Yeah,
a little bit. I love
Joe,
it.
shut up.
All right, we'll see you guys. See you guys next week with Dale Wentland.
I'm Joseph Dotson.
I am Stefan Spalino. Follow us on Instagram and SoundCloud.
And this is Star Wars After Hours!
A wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Do you know what's going on?